So without further ado, I'll introduce Chris Helder. So Chris is talking on useful belief because it's better than positive thinking. Chris is a business communication genius and master storyteller whose presentations have radically transformed now thousands of people worldwide with clients, customers, colleagues, staff and teams. He has been a professional speaker for 17 years and has done over 2,300 presentations around the world. We actually had Chris today down at Marshall White at our leadership meeting and in Cape Schanck, and he's kindly given up his time and travelled up here before he heads to the airport. So a very busy man, as you can see, delivering thousands of presentations around the world. He's the author of the best-selling books, The Ultimate Book of Influence, which has been published in 5 languages, and Useful Belief. So this book here, I'd encourage you all to jump online and purchase Useful Belief. It's a fantastic book, and Chris will share some insights with us around his thinking when it comes to useful beliefs versus positive thinking tonight. His global client list includes Citibank, Merrill Lynch, GlaxoSmithKline, Toyota, Mercedes-Benz, Fuji Xerox, Levi's, Olympic Winter and Institute of Australia. Chris speaks at conferences in the areas of communication, influence, human potential, leadership and mastering the face-to-face customer experience. So Chris comes from the USA, and I'm sure you'll hear that accent come through in his excitable presentation. So welcome, Chris.
Wow. All right, that was a fantastic introduction, a long one, and lots of information in there. Guys, thank you so much for taking the time out tonight as swinging through here in a very quick time. What I want to do today, just quickly, I have lived in Australia. I think my accent's gone, though. Is it gone? It's still there. I have actually lived in Australia for 22 years, so I'm not quite sure how long it takes to be Aussie. I do keep asking the question, how long before I get to be Aussie? And recently I did a conference. I said, how long before I get to be Aussie? And this guy shouted out of the back of the room. He said, 2 generations, mate. So no time soon for that guy. But I have lived over here. My background's psychology, sociology. I did graduate from Colorado State University. After that, I was a part of the Bill Clinton administration, which dates me fiercely. That sent me to a place called Compton, California. And Compton, I spent 2 years working with underprivileged kids in Compton, straight out of Compton. And anyway, that's LA. I was single, and I was in my early 20s. Actually, I might stop right there. It was LA, I was single, and I was in my early 20s. And when you know, I wandered into a bar, and I met a girl. She was from Ballarat, as you do. Her name was Nat from Ballarat. And anyway, I met Nat from Ballarat. We got along well. We went out for about a month, and then 3 months later, I was engaged to her roommate. So that was the short version of the story. But Lucy, a Melbourne girl, and I, we got married a few months later, and we can talk about impulsive behavior, but I don't have time. But she lured me over to beautiful Australia, where I do pinch myself at what I get to do, because I get a chance to travel all over the world and talk about my favorite subject, which is people. How many people in this room find people interesting, just out of curiosity? All right, well, let's get into it. I was at a Christmas party about 3.5 years ago, and this guy walked up to me, and I think he'd had a couple drinks. And he walked up to me, and he said to me, "Someone just told me you were a motivational speaker. Why don't you say something right now to motivate me?" And I still remember when he said that. I was like, man, it doesn't work like that. He's like, what do you do? Do you tell people to be positive? Is that what you say, be positive? Do you tell people with your American accent just to be happy and be positive? And the guy was poking the bear, and I get that. But actually, you know what? He was probably doing the same thing you're doing here. I mean, here you are, a student, year 12. You've showed up tonight. You're like, what? Why am I here tonight? What am I actually doing here tonight? Why did I get dragged to this thing tonight? And is there something new I'm supposed to learn? And yes, there is. Because I looked at the guy and I said this. I said, no, I don't teach people to be positive for one simple reason. And this is most important. And we can hit this in my allotted time, Michael. Right? This is it. Ready? Positive thinking doesn't work. Right? Not really, and it never really has. If you just try to be positive, if you've been in a rut the last 6 days or 6 weeks or 6 months, and someone walked up to you and said, come on, man, just be positive, man. Be positive. Just go ahead. Be positive. What would you want to do to him right now? Oh, there it is. Yeah, you got the right hook going on there. That's it. Right? That's it. It's not that. Instead, I teach this word right here. Boom. Useful. This word right here. Useful. Right? Because if you've been in a rut the last 6 days or 6 weeks or 6 months, it's not positive thinking that's going to get you out. It's this word, useful. What's the most useful thing for you to do to get from 0 to 2? What's the most useful action for you to take in your life to get from 5 to 8, to get from 8 to 10, wherever you are in your life? What's the most useful thing for you to actually think about? Now, actually, to make that come alive a little bit, because we don't try to be positive. We're going to try to be useful. And if we're going to try to be useful, we have to understand a little bit about how your brain works. All right? Now, here we go. Let's do this just for a second. This is the most important part of your brain when it comes to success. If you're in year 12 right now, this is what you need to notice. Right? If you're wearing a Xavier jacket right now, this is what you need to notice. And I just did this talk for the entire year 12s of Trinity. And my son is in year 12 at Trinity, and that was the most terrifying talk I've ever done in my entire life. I just want you to know that straight up. But let me say this. This is the most important part of your brain when it comes to success. It's the filter that filters the millions of pieces of information you get every day. It shows you what you see. Now, again, let's just do a couple of these. Well, parents in the room. Here we go, parents. Ready? Let's do this. This is the best time ever in the history of the world to be alive. Is that true? Best time ever in the history of the world to be a parent. Is that true? Well, I mean, this is it, isn't it? I mean, who here has ever been a part of these conversations? I can't believe these kids today. With their stupid iPhones and computer games. When I was a kid, we were real kids. We were outside kids with a bat and a ball and a bike. We were outside. Has anyone here ever been a part of that conversation? Well, every now and again, people ask me the question. They say, Chris, what do you think about kids today? And I say this. I got 3 boys. I have 3 boys, 17, 15, 13, year 12, year 9, year 7. What do I think? I think this is the best time ever in the history of the world to be a kid. Is that true? I have no idea, but truth's overrated. Is this the best time ever in the history of the world to be a parent? Is that true? I don't know, but truth's really just perception. So, this is the best time in the history of the world to be a dad. Is it true? Well, I don't know. Because you know what? It just is. It is the time that I'm a dad. It is the time that we're here. It's a time that you're a kid. So you know what? It's your reality. So guess what? It is your best time ever in the history of the world to be a kid. That is a useful belief. And here's the thing. When I believe it's the best time ever in the history of the world to be a dad, an amazing thing happens. I'm a better dad. I'm actually dialed into what's going on in the year 2018. I'm not focused on the Def Leppard concert that I went to in 1988. I'm actually dialed into what's going on right now. Now, let's go back to this part of your brain. This is the filter that sees all the stuff. Right? This is the filter. I call it the red Toyota theory. That's easier for you to remember. You drove in tonight. Did you guys drive in tonight? On the way in, how many times did you see a red Toyota? Answer 0. You were not looking for a red Toyota. What is your name, sir? Martin. Martin, if you and I right now decided to buy a red Toyota together, first of all, that'd be weird, wouldn't it? Second of all, if we did, on the way home, what would we see everywhere? Boom, red Toyotas. They'd be popping. Why? Because the filter that filters the millions of pieces of information every day is now looking for red Toyotas. Here's your useful beliefs. Ready? This is the best time ever in the history of the world to be a kid. Best time ever in the history of the world to be a parent. Best time ever in the world to be alive. And an amazing thing happens when you believe that. You walk outside and what do you see? You see a tree and a flower and a puppy and a baby. And you will find beautiful things in the world. When you believe these are tough times. These are some tough times. Tough times. Don't worry, your brain will help you out. And I recommend watching a lot of media, reading the Herald Sun, dialing into a lot of current affair, dialing into a lot of Today Tonight, dialing into a lot of crap that at the end of the day is going to help you believe that there are tough times out there. And if you dial in, this is the best time ever. Your brain's going to go find beautiful things. Now, I'm not saying you don't have a reality, by the way. You have a reality. A reality's different. You wake up every day and you face your reality. You know what? It was last year. Well, my son's 17. Last year, he was 16. This year, he's 17. And this year at 17, last year my son came up to me, Trinity boy, and there he is. He came up to me and he said, Dad, I think I'm going to take the day off school today. And I said, you are? He goes, hair flip. He goes, I think I've been working hard. I said, Jake, you're a hard worker, man. I mean, you are a hard worker. He goes, I just feel like I need a day off. And he hair flipped again. And because he hair flipped again, I said, you know what? Because you hair flipped again, I don't think you do. And you know what? He actually said, I said, your reality today, which we all have a reality. I said, your reality is you're going to go to school. I want you to get on that tram, go down that Cotham Road, and I want you to go to that school that I spend a whole lot of money to send you to. That is happening. I want that to happen. I said, you have choice today, though, son. I said, you have choice. I said, you're 16 years old. You have choice in how you're going to attack every single day around your reality. I said, you can either get on that tram like so many students do, and you could be like, man, it's going to be a waste of time. And don't worry, it will be. Your brain will go help you find waste of time, right? Or you can get on that tram today and pick up girls on the way, get to school, kick the footy, go to class, be open. Just be open, man. Just be open. And you know what? You're going to find you're going to see stuff. See stuff that other people don't see. You know what? I've done, I think, over 2,300 presentations, and I've worked with hundreds of thousands of people. And I can tell you this. There's one thing that separates out the best in the world from the average. The best in the world from the average. One thing above everything else. The best in the world see opportunities that other people don't see. It's that simple. They see the opportunities because their brain is looking for them. Because this is the best time ever in the history of the world to be alive. Best time ever to be you, right? Best time ever to be in your shoes. And I'm not saying you don't have a reality. We have a lot of women in this room every day that wake up in their reality, right? They wake up every day and they think to themselves, I'm going to look over in a minute, and it's not going to be him. I'm going to look over in a minute, it's going to be Ryan Gosling. I'm going to look over, it's going to be Clooney. It's going to be Jamie from my favorite show, Outlander. I'm going to look over now, I'm going to count it down. 3, 2, 1. Nope, still him. Now, here's the thing about reality that I want to hit. How am I going for time, Michael? 12 fast, perfect. Here's the thing I want you to hit about reality, and this is most important. If you are a student right now sitting in this room, here's the 2 things you have to know that stop your growth and your ability to get better and learn every day. You ready? Here it is. Number 1, stop focusing. Don't focus on things you can't control. That's number 1. If you can't control it, it's a waste of time to worry about it. Number 2 is even more important. Don't focus on complaining about, carry on about things that you will not change. If you're not going to change it, then you might as well have a useful belief about it. How many people here have ever had to go to a meeting? A meeting that was a waste of time. Have you ever had to do that? And you're like, God, I can't believe we got to go to this meeting. This meeting's going to be a waste of time. But guess what, Michael? We have to go to it. And if we have to go, we have to go. We can't get out of it. If we have to go, we might as well have a useful belief about it. We go in open. But most people don't do that, do they? Most people go in and they go, it's going to be a waste of time. They do waste of time body language, and there they are waiting, looking, searching, right? Ooh, waste of time, found it, right? They found it because you sent your brain on a fact-finding mission to go find waste of time. Now, if you have to do something, if you can't get out of it, if you're not going to change it, useful belief. Boom, this will be the best maths class I ever went to in my life. You know what? I have a reality in my life, and Michael's already alluded to it here. My travel is a big part of my reality. Big part of my reality, and with 3 boys, travel's a big part of my reality. And, well, you know what? People love to come up to me and say things like this because people like to take you down. They like to try, right? People love to come up and say things like, man, Chris, you must hate all that travel. If I were you, man, I would hate all that travel, man. You must hate being in all those hotels by yourself all the time, man. You must be alone all the time. People love to come up to me and say things like this. And you know what? I could change it because I live in Melbourne. In fact, I don't live very far from right here. And I could change it. I could just do Melbourne gigs. That'd be easy. Done. There, fixed my reality. That's it. Boom. But you know what? I'm not going to because I love doing what I do, right? And if I didn't do that, it would affect my income. And if I didn't do that, it would affect my lifestyle. And you know what? Most of all, I don't want to. I love doing what I'm doing. So you know what? If I'm not going to change it, if I'm not going to change my reality, there's no sense complaining about it. Don't complain about things you have to do. Don't complain about things you're going to do anyway. Instead, have a useful belief about it. Tonight I'm going to be on an airplane. What's my useful belief about airplanes? I love airplanes. I love them. I love airports. I love the airport lounges. I love the Virgin Lounge, and I love the Qantas Lounge. And you know what I love? I'll tell you what I love. I love the ham that they serve in both those lounges. I have a little conspiracy theory. I believe Qantas and Virgin, I believe they share ham. I think it's the same ham. We have a same ham situation at the Tullamarine Airport. I believe they are sharing ham. And I love hotels, and I love hotel sheets, and I'm alone all the time. Tonight I'll be walking the streets of Adelaide alone. Do you know what I love? Aloneness. That's what I love. By the way, if you're feeling all sad and lonely, don't get dialed into lonely. I'm so sad and lonely. Get dialed into some aloneness. There's power in aloneness. And you know what? Useful belief. We all have a reality in our life. We all have a reality. If you wake up every day trying to be positive, all the studies show this. All the studies show this. And when you try to be positive, and you wake up first thing in the morning and you try to be positive, here's what happens. You go, come on, Chris, just be positive today. You can do it. You can do this. Just be positive. Try to get through today. But guess what? When 10 o'clock comes around and something bad's already happened to you, right? You're like, I can't even do positive well. Then all of a sudden, guess what? You feel worse about yourself than when you started, right? You know what? We all have a reality. And working with those year 12ers this year, you know, there was a little haircut situation that happened down there. A little haircut situation. And you know what? In talking to all these year 12s, I'll tell you what I told them. This is a reality. You have your reality. In a couple months, no one's going to care about who's haircut and who's there and what's going on. Because you know what? This is your life. And this is your life. And if you get dialed into things that ultimately you can't control or you will not change, and neither one of those things are true for those kids, then you better have a useful belief about it. And that's about your studies. That's about what you need to focus on. That's what you need to connect on. Don't focus on things that you can't control. I can't tell you, I was overwhelmed. Emails from parents. Emails from the year 12s. People coming up to me, kids coming up to me, just saying, man, it got me through. Useful belief. We all have bad things happen. Bad stuff happens to every one of us, and it will happen to every one of us. And you know what? Grieving is real, and grieving is a big part of our reality. Feeling sad is part of our reality. Feeling bad is part of our reality. And you know what? The question becomes, at what point? At what point is enough enough? At what point do we need to have a useful belief and stop grieving about the reality in our life? You know what? Life is an adventure. And what we filter is such an important thing. That part of your brain, what you look for. And don't worry, that red Toyota theory, that reticular activating system, it will torture you at different times. I imagine you've all had your heart broken at one time or another. Most people have had their heart, usually there's one guy in the back who's like, not me, not ever, but everybody else. And here's the thing, when you had your heart broken, by the way, when you had your heart broken, what did you see everywhere? Stupid happy people. Everybody's happy except for you. You're the only unhappy person in the entire world. By the way, if you're currently unhappy in your current relationship, what do you see everywhere? Hot single people you can't have, right? They're everywhere because now you're filtering for hot single people. Now we start noticing the filter is everything, right? We all have a reality. If you can't change it or won't change it, we might as well have a useful belief about it. I'll leave you with my favorite quote by the person who I believe had the most useful belief of all. And her name was Helen Keller. And her amazing words, as she said this: life is one of two things. It's either a daring adventure or it's absolutely nothing. Useful belief. I challenge you to go out there and make your life the daring adventure you want it to be. Well done coming tonight. My name's Chris Helder. Thank you very much for inviting me along. Thank you. Thanks, guys. Awesome. Fantastic. There you are.
Thanks, Chris.
Awesome.
If you want further clarity into useful beliefs, please go out and get Chris's best-selling book. It's one of the highest-selling books in Australia. He's also written another book more recently in 2018 called Cut the Noise, which is also a fantastic read.